Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, this past week I got a call from the museum, and they had an issue with their 1917 Vulcan Ironworks steam locomotive that we do lots of work on here in the shop. They've made countless parts for it over the years, and this past weekend, while they were operating the locomotive, some things happened. Basically, a spring hanger on the locomotive broke. It's not the first time this has happened, although it's the first time that this particular spring hanger has ever broken on the locomotive. There's two spring hangers on the front. It's a different style than these, and both of those are previously broken in the past. And we've actually made new ones and got them back on there. Now we've got one of the rear spring hangers on the front leaf springs. It broke. And anyway, long story short, we made a repair to the spring hanger that's out there. But it's a temporary fix, and we want to make a new spring hanger so that we don't have to worry about whether my braze job that we did holding this thing together, holding up the boiler on this locomotive, is going to hold up indefinitely. I actually think it will probably hold up for quite a while. Brazing is a good option for that kind of a repair, particularly this particular spring hanger. Why braze it rather than weld it? Someone's going to ask, someone always does, is that the originals were made out of wrought iron. Wrought iron is not steel. We really don't deal with wrought iron in the modern world. This is an old material. And talking to some welding guys, welding wrought iron is extremely difficult. It's very similar to welding cast iron. And two different welders that I talked to said that they wouldn't even attempt to try to weld it, arc weld it or whatever. That based on the composition of that wrought iron, it might work, but probably wouldn't hold up for very long. They said braze it, it's going to be your better option. So that's what we did. So we've got that going out there right now, but we want to get that fixed and get some new spring hangers made. Now, these spring hangers on the locomotive, I'm not at the museum right now, but I'm going to kind of put some video in here and kind of show them to you. There's 4 leaf springs on this locomotive. There's 2 on the front, 2 on the back. On the front end of the locomotive, there's kind of a cross piece, a rocker arm that allows that front end to kind of rock as it goes around a corner. In the back, you just got the holders that just hold them up. And there's 2 spring hangers for each springs for a total of 8 spring hangers. The 2 on the front on the rocker arm, they are very unique. And by the way, they have both previously broken in the past, and I have made new spring hangers for both sides on those. They should be good to go indefinitely. This is the first time we've had spring hangers break on the back side. And based on my experience, when the first one broke on the front, it wasn't even a year, I think, and the second one broke. So we're going to go ahead and replace both of them on the back, and eventually, probably not as in quite as big of a rush, but we're going ahead and replace the ones on the 2 rear springs as well. So there's 4 more spring hangers back there. They're all the 6 that are different from the one in the back. They're all similar. They're different lengths and whatever, but they're all pretty much the same construction. So we're going to be making some of those. So anyway, here's what we got, and we're going to show you my game plan on how we're going to do this. So the first thing I did whenever we started this process is I went to look and see if I had any blueprints that actually showed these for our locomotive. Now, we do not have a full set of blueprints for our locomotive, but I've got a pretty good selection of blueprints that we have acquired from the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania up in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, who has the original blueprints from Vulcan. And they've been great to work with over the years whenever I've given them a buzz or whatever and said we're looking for something. And they have done an excellent job of making an attempt to go out there and find stuff. And as they find other blueprints that are right for our locomotive, we've kind of been putting together a little collection of them. And fortunately, right here, these are the spring hangers that we need to make. And actually, you've also got the other spring hanger. These are the ones that we've already made over here in the past. There's some videos on my channel that show making those. These were all originally forged. They were all originally forged from wrought iron. Both of these say wrought iron on them. But anyway, this is the one that we're after. So anyway, I'm going to show you this one. This is just a blown up version of that. That kind of gives us where we can see what's going on. So again, originally forged. The way these were made is very obvious when you look at the originals, is they had a piece of 5/8 inch by 2 inch piece of wrought iron. This other leg over here was just forge welded right here together. One of the beautiful things about wrought iron is while It doesn't weld very well in modern welding techniques. It forge welds beautifully. Um, Forge weld's better than steel, so you know that these were originally forge weld. Ours broke kind of right below, right in this area, right in here, in that little corner. It was not in the weld, actually held just fine. It was just outside the weld, and probably just from the stress and the rocking over the years, it eventually just got a weak spot there and broke. Now, making new ones, I actually, we're going to do some forging on these. We're going to have to do some forging on them, I think. We got to kind of make this eye down here on the bottom and expand that out. So I talked with our blacksmith at the museum, Greg Tucker, who's a very good blacksmith, and we kind of came up with a game plan on how we're going to make these. Now, rather than trying to weld a piece over here on the side, both of us decided that it would be a better option to make this out of a solid piece where there is no weld, where we had all original materials. So basically what I've got is some 2-inch wide by 1.25 inch thick steel. So basically you take the 5/8 and the 5/8, and it's going to be 1.25 inches. And this is kind of the game plan of what I'm gonna do here today in getting prepped for this. And this is just a sketch. So we're gonna take and basically split up the middle, and I figured up how far we need to go, what 10 3/8 inches, need to make a slit. And up here in the top, you know, we could forge all that out and expand it out, but just in the essence, that's a lot of hammering. We don't have a power hammer or anything. I have a very traditional blacksmith shop. I'm just going to take the bandsaw. We're going to cut most of that metal out. Leave a little bit of forging to be done in there. But I'm basically going to make some blanks. Then these are going to go to our blacksmith, and then he's going to actually take this and split that out and forge the eyes down here on the bottom. The top part, he's just going to leave whatever length it is, and I will cut those off, and we'll actually put the little square slot in there. That's where a key goes in to kind of hold everything into place. Also, in preparation for this, we decided it'd be a heck of a lot easier if we had, I'm going to call it an anvil, but it's really just kind of a spacer that is kind of fits up into this area here. So I'm going to take a piece of steel. We're going to basically cut that out so that it will fit in there, and that will allow him to have something that he can put on the anvil and kind of hammer on. And go ahead and put a hole through there where they can drift a hole all the way through and basically have solid metal that they're banging on while they're punching those pins through. These are not drilled holes, these are punched holes. That's the reason you got the uniform shape around them. So that's kind of the game plan. This is what we're going to be making today. There's a couple of blanks, and we're going to be making this tool for him to use to forge these in the forge. Over here at the marble saw, and we're going to go ahead and get this piece of metal cut off. I need a piece about 19 inches long to forge that spring hanger out of. So let me get this clamped down, and we'll go ahead and get this cut off. All right, let her cut. Marble saw does a really good job of cutting this thick material nice and straight, fairly fast. I've always been impressed with how quick it cuts. We're going to be using this saw a good bit in this particular episode. There's a lot of bandsawing to be done, and we're going to be taking advantage of this machine to do it. All right, there we go, cut number one. All right, so again, our stock is 1.25 inches wide in this direction, 2 inches in this direction. And eventually we're going to end up with a 5/8 inch thick piece. So basically we're going to split this, make 2 5/8 inches, and then we'll cut out the top so that we have that up there as well. So let me go ahead and kind of sketch out what we want here. So need 5/8, which would be right in the center. Do another one up here, 5/8. Now, according to my calculations, we need to be 10 3/8 inches long. 10, 1, 2, 3. So we need to split it up to that point right there. And I'm just going to lay this out. So I just got a straight edge here. Tell you what, I'm not really using the square part on the bottom. I'm just lining up the two lines here. And that's where we need to cut that one. All right. We're going to use the bandsaw here to split that down the middle. So up next, we got a long cut to make, and I'm going to do it here on the bandsaw again. In my experience, this saw cuts pretty straight. One thing that I'm going to probably do is once we kind of get up past this starting point, I want to drop this guide down a little bit closer. That should help keep it a little bit straighter. Right now, it can only go down this far because it has to clear this vice jaw in the back. But once we do that, we'll stop, adjust our guides, and then we'll continue on down. Let's see how this goes. All right, here we go. The way I have my line laid out, I really want my blade to be right on the edge of this line, and that's where we're at right now to get two equal sides. So I'm not splitting the line, I'm really right on the edge of the line. It's just kind of the way it worked out. But so far, so good. We're right on the line. Got a little bit more before I can drop that guide down. So let's just see how it goes. I don't really have this saw set up with coolant, but I am gonna just kind of squirt some on here as we go. I just got some in a little oil can here. Will definitely help, I think. It's really not gonna hurt. And so far, we're cutting right along the line. This is exactly what we want. You can see some stress in the metal. It's separating, but that's all right. We're going to be reforging all that anyway, so no problem there at all. We're continuing on here, and I'm where I could drop that guide down if I needed to, but to be honest with you guys, I mean, we're still right on the line. This thing's cutting remarkably straight, so I'm not going to mess with anything. We're just going to let her keep on cutting. We're getting right here to the end of the cut, and still right on that line. I mean, we might have moved over just a smidgen, but not enough to be worried about. That's deep enough. And I'm going to very carefully back my blade out now. As you can see, the part did kind of separate. There's some stress in there. That will help get the blade out of the cut. So there we go. First one down. I got another one to do. I'm going to go ahead and get it set up and cut, and then we got to also remove a little bit of metal at the top just to save a little bit of work for our blacksmith. So up next, we need to thin out the part up here that's going to become needed just a 5/8 inch piece that goes up through the middle. Yes, again, our blacksmith could draw all that out, but that's a lot of hammering, and we just need to get this done. So we're going to remove some stock there. I'm going to leave it a little bit thick. So he does have some material to work with, but we're going to try to get some of that out of there just to save some time making this. So let's fire our machine up. We should be set to just kind of rip right down through there. We'll have to do it on both sides. Just FYI, this long cut here, which was what, 10 3/4 inches, I don't remember the exact number. It took about 7.5 minutes, so it's going fairly quickly. For such a long cut, it's not taking too long. We continue at the same rate. It'll take me about 30 minutes to cut off all these parts and get them worked out. I'm not going to make you guys watch all this. We'll bring you back here in a little bit, but you can see what we're doing. We're just whittling this thing down a little bit. All right, we got that side done. I'm going to get this thing flipped over. I'm going to have to lay out the other side for the other cut here, just so that we're cutting on the same side here, because we'll have to flip this over. But I get that done, and we'll get the next cut made. And here we go down this next side. Keep a little cooling on there. So far, so good. When we get down there, I'll just stop my feed. We'll back out. And we'll have the long cuts done on this one. I still need to make the 2 long cuts, or the 2 on the top cuts on the other piece that we're doing. But I also need to trim these off, and I'll do that over on my other bandsaw, I think, before we get out of here. All right. Let me get the other one done off camera, and bring you guys back. Knocking this out. Now to finish this off, I just need to kind of cut these little wings off, and I'm over at the do-all bandsaw. And we're gonna just come in here, and I'm doing these at kind of an angle. I'm not going straight across. We'll just come in here and cut these out. One side down. Same thing over here. Go. Well, I got the 2 blanks roughed out here for the spring hangers. These are ready to go to the blacksmith. But before I do, talking with him again, just kind of make his life a little bit easier. On this inside piece, I want to actually create a piece of blank of steel to go up in there to kind of use as a anvil sandwich in there when he's doing the forge work to help shape that. And the other thing we want to do is have a hole through it down here in the proper place, where he can use a punch to punch that thing out and have some support in between the 2 brackets. So to make that out of, I've got another chunk of steel. This is also 4140, which is the same thing that these down here are. And we basically just want to cut out a piece to fit that. Now, 3 1/8 inches, you know, is basically what the gap between that it needs to be. I had to get a piece that was 3 1/2 inches wide in that direction. And then the other direction only needs to be 2 inches. So, you know, there's actually a lot of extra metal on this. So again, to just kind of save on metal, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off so that we basically got a 2-inch wide piece. And then we will cut it the other direction to the 3 1/8 inches, and then go from there. So I wish I could have gotten a piece that was a little bit closer to the dimensions that we needed, but we're going to rough out as much as we can over here on the bandsaw, and then I'll probably clean those up on the milling machine after we do that, and get everything smoothed up and ready for him, and get the hole drilled in there. So anyway, let's start by reducing this piece of metal down in size on the bandsaw, and we'll go from there. So here we go. We're going to cut this side off. And that's just going to get this down to 2 inches in that dimension, or roughly to it. We'll, I don't know if I'll do it on the milling machine or belt sander, but we'll smooth that up. This isn't really a critical, this one isn't a critical measurement at all. So anyway, we'll get it knocked out though. We'll bring you guys back. Well, the old bandsaw has got a workout today. We basically cut this chunk out of this bigger piece back here, and then shaved it off the side. But I've got a blank here that is more or less the size that we need as our forming piece to kind of go up in there. I do still need to kind of cut the little crown up here at the top. I need to get that laid out. Come down about 2 1/4 inches on each side here, which is going to be about right there. Put a mark there. Put a mark there. Should be across from one another. They are. And then we need to find the center of this. So we're at, that's the top, and we basically need to now just connect the dots. All right. So that will kind of form that shape, and basically this becomes my form piece that we're going to wrap those legs around when we're forging it to get it to the right size. So a little bit more cutting here on the bandsaw. Let me figure out how I'm going to clamp these down to cut those angles off, and we'll be back. Well, I got to figure out how I'm going to clamp this to hold it at that angle. I don't really have a way to clamp it down to the table. There's not really any. There are T-slots in here, but they're not made for like a regular T-slot. They're made for this sliding vise to go in. So I'm going to make a little block of wood that's at that right angle that I can just cut this straight. So what I've done is I've laid my block of wood down square against the back of my saw, and I've kind of come over here and lined up the cut square with this side of the saw, and that should give me an outline of on this piece of wood where I would need to cut it to have a block of wood that would allow me to kind of clamp it in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my wood cutting bandsaw and just kind of cut that out, and then see if I can use that to hold it in place while we clamp it. Let's give it a try and see if it works. Over at my crescent bandsaw, and we'll just saw this out real quick. All right, this wood cuts a lot quicker than that steel does. All right, I think that that'll work. We're gonna give it a try. Kind of get that saw started, ease into it, get a little kerf going there for it to start now. All right, I think that'll go. One side down, now the other side to cut off. That one's going to be a little more challenging, I think, just because we're not going to have a good surface to clamp on at the top. We'll figure something out here though. Let's get her flipped over and see what we can do. So I'm not even exactly sure what this piece was. It was in my scrap metal bin, but this is going to hopefully be perfect. It's got this little groove in there. That will allow that to kind of sit flat up against this chuck, and then the round piece can give me something to clamp on down here to kind of press that together. So let me kind of start out here by getting that lined up where I want it to start that cut. And now I should be able to clamp that tight. Yep. That's going to clamp all my pressure straight back onto that block of wood again. I need to actually go in just a touch. Let's try that again. All right. Again, I'm going to start easy. Kind of get a kerf established. Don't have a line on this side, but it's been cutting pretty straight. We should get the same angle we did on the other side. All right, I think we have got this all cut out. And with that, I think we got our bandsawing all done. This Marvel bandsaw has had a workout today, doing some long cuts. I'm gonna take this over to my belt sander and kind of dress up this rough saw cut. Probably dress up these faces a little bit more that we had cut on both sides and get everything smoothed up. But this is coming along nice. I'm happy with the results so far. All right, a couple minutes over on the belt sander, and I don't have every little bandsaw mark out of it, but it's going to be good enough. I mean, it's nice, and this is really the side that's going to be worked on, and I did get nearly everything out of that. So, and then this is the other side over here. This is the factory edge, and of course the top. Kind of rounded over my corners, everything else. So again, the idea here is to kind of open this fork up. If we're to go around this, so when we're forging it, it'll go around this. This will be sandwiched in between it, and it'll basically give us something that we can hammer on in there and keep it to shape. And also the other big thing is that we need to punch the hole that goes through here for the pin, and for that I need a through hole through this. So I've already kind of laid out where the center of that is, and I need a 1-inch hole, probably something actually just a little bit over 1 inch, so that a 1-inch punch will clear all the way through there. But we're going to go ahead and get that drilled out. Once that's done, I think we've got all of the pieces made here that we need to make these spring hangers. So let me get that hole through there, and we'll move on. Drill this over here at the radial drill. I got a drill bit in here. It's about a 3/8 inch drill, and for mild steel, I still get the alloy steel 611 RPM. So the closest I got to that's about 505, which is right there. That's there we go. I'm going to go down here and kind of start that. It looks like it needs to. That's better. I'm going to relock my table down there. All right, let's let her drill. All right, we are all the way through. Let's get our next drill bit, and we'll go ahead and drill it on out. All right, I've moved up to an 1/1/16 inch drill bit, so we're about a 1/16 of an inch oversized. We have slowed our drill down considerably here, and once again, I'm gonna let this drill right down through there with any luck. Let's see how it's going to drill. Here we go. I think we're going to have to do a little bit of work to that drill bit. All right, let me see if I can sharpen it a little bit, and we'll be back. All right, I dug around and found another drill bit. We're going to try this one and see if it works any better. A little rough, but it's drilling. I'm gonna let it roll. I just need a through hole through there. It's nothing precision about it, so hopefully this will work out. One hole. looks good. I'm going to deburr that, and it's not too bad, not too hot. All right. And I think we have got our forming tool made. We got our blanks cut out. You can see the through hole through here. One thing I will notice, I took a center punch, not a center punch, a cold chisel, and I just kind of punched a straight line right down the center of that hole. Because when you're working on this on the side, the hole's going to be covered up, and that'll indicate, so when you come in here and get ready to start punching this out, where your punch needs to be. You can find the center of it in the other direction. You can spot that with your eye pretty easily, but where it is in this block would be hidden when the sides are covering it up. So that'll just give our blacksmith a little visual indication there of where he needs to line his punch up to get that punch drifted through there, that hole drifted through there. So anyway, I think this is what we need. So I think we got our job done today. Well, guys, mission accomplished. I think we got done what we need to get done here. So what's next? I'm going to deliver this out to our blacksmith at the museum tomorrow. We've actually got an event going on out there this weekend. By the time you see this video, will have already happened. I'm going to be operating a steam engine tomorrow to run our steam-powered cotton gin. But I'm going to go ahead and get this to Greg, our blacksmith, and with any luck, he'll have some time. He can get started on these tomorrow. Who knows, maybe even get them forged tomorrow. Unfortunately, probably not going to be able to get any video of that just because I got to be in another place. If for some reason he's not able to do it tomorrow, does it later on, and I'm able to get out there with the camera, I will make an attempt to do that. But I am not going to make any promises because I don't think it's going to happen. Now, as far as the forging is concerned, I really need to make 4 more of these hangers at some point in time. These 2 are kind of a rush job. We need to get it done right away. At some point in time, I want to do 4 more. So maybe when we get around to doing those, we can get some video of the forging. And who knows, I may even do it here in my shop. I've just about got my blacksmithing forge set up where I could actually do some forging here in my shop. So we may do a couple of those down the road as well. But for right now, we're going to let our professional blacksmith at the museum knock these things out and get them done. And again, mainly because I really want to get this thing replaced on the locomotive before we get into the Christmas season this year. We got our North Pole Express events coming up here pretty soon. We got 6 nights in December that we'll be running that out at the museum. Already sold out. That event always sells out in minutes. It's almost, you think it was a Taylor Swift concert or something, the way people buy those tickets up. But anyway, I want to make sure we get it done before then, because the last thing we need to do is to have a breakdown during North Pole Express, and this will be looming over me. I think our repair will hold up, but I know this will hold up, and I'll feel a lot better once we get these new spring hangers on there. Guys, with that's going to be a wrap on today's video. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. And as always, a big, huge thank you to both the subscribers of the channel as well as the supporters of the channel who support financially through PayPal, through Patreon, etc. That really enables me to be able to take the time to to shoot video and edit the video and do everything else that goes along with that. It's very time consuming, and it kind of gives me the little bit extra compensation I need to have in order to be able to do that. So for you guys that are able to contribute, that is awesome. If you're not currently doing that and something you want to think about, please consider it. I'd appreciate it greatly. Guys, we'll catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.